Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers, a power-packed show. Andy's got the rundown.
War has reached the Nevada legislature. Today we talked to Bernie Anderson, chairman of the Assembly Judiciary, about terrorism and taxes. And Mike Hillerby from the governor's office is here to talk to us about the Internal Revenue Service. Sam?
Thanks, Andy. And Mike Hillerby sticks around and joins the pundit panel along with Greg Ferraro from R&R Partners and Chris Wicker. He's the chairman of the Washoe County Democrats. It'll be a firefight. It's all coming up next on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
Today's lesson, another reason to take the Gold Rush Club Card Challenge. With the Gold Rush Card, you really have 3 cards in one. Use your cash back. You still keep your comps and drawing tickets. Use your comps. You still keep your cash and drawing tickets. And with your drawing tickets, you could win thousands in cold hard cash every week. And still keep your cash back and comps. Does your club add up? Graduate to the Gold Rush Players Club. It's the smart thing to do. The Gold Dust West, south on Keystone, east on 4th.
Folks, you must see what's new in Virginia City. Ride the V&T train all the way to Gold Hill. Explore a mine, if you dare. Visit Piper's Opera House. Watch the gunslingers shoot it up on C Street. Shop in unique stores. Listen to honky tonk in the historic saloons. You can't see it all in one day, so spend the night. Virginia City, where the West comes alive. Come up and spend the night in our hotels, motels, and RV park.
When he was just a young boy, Ken Dillon laid back, looked up at the stars, and thought to himself, hey, this house could use a roof. Today, Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal offers a complete line of Firestone roofing products for any type of roof, from commercial to industrial and residential. With a Firestone roof from D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal, what's overhead stays overhead. Call Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal today for a free estimate. Yes, the technology sure has changed, but after all these years, Ken still enjoys playing with houses.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years. Call 882-1700 to see what we can do for your organization.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad, political analyst Ande Engleman on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the News 4 Broadcast Center, here's Sam Shad.
Assemblyman Bernie Anderson chairs Judiciary, a hotbed of activity at this point in the legislature.
Good morning, Bernie.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here.
How are you,
Good morning.
Sam?
I'm good, thank you.
You have a number of bills dealing with war and terrorism, and one in particular I think was Assemblyman Speaker Richard Perkins' bill.
Well, we do have, actually we have 2 bills right currently from Assemblyman Perkins, 250, Assembly Bill 250 and Assembly Bill 441. The first, 250, has, of course, the definition of terrorism in it, which, of course, puts it right squarely in the issues that we're dealing with here from 9/11 and now on into the questions of war and potential for the state.
There was an editorial in the Las Vegas Review-Journal over the weekend that said most of what is in that terrorism bill is already illegal and that there's some infringement of civil rights in the bill.
And we are concerned about that, as anyone would be. Nevada has always taken a very, very strong position. Of course, Article 1 of the state constitution clearly sets out our civil rights here as compared to the Bill of Rights in the federal constitution. We're arguing that very question about what constitutes civil disruption versus terrorist acts, and trying to find good definitions so that the right to protest and the right to freedom of speech are protected because we're not always going to be in a state of war.
What are you hearing from the ACLU on this?
Well, we hear from the ACLU originally on a bill that we heard earlier in the session from Senator Washoe's side, and on our side from Mr. Brown's bill from Anderson, also interestingly enough, that they're concerned about the rights of the people, and we believe that we're going to be able to craft an amendment that both preserves our rights to freedom of speech and to protest, to strike. Labor groups are concerned about that, not just the ACLU, but others.
You've got a new bill coming in from the developers here on taxes, proposing 1% gaming tax and also an increase in the room tax. Is that going to fly very far?
Well, that kind of puts on a different hat than my Judiciary hat. As a member of the Taxation Committee, we're going to be looking at that, and we've just come from a hearing in Las Vegas where we heard people concerned about the loss of additional revenue for education and other issues. So we're hopeful that we're going to be able to do both a bridge tax and some sort of tax that will bring us to a financial position where the state can be somewhat stable. But it's very difficult times, and we're concerned about that.
The governor's bill calls for sharing of information with the Internal Revenue Service. Is that something that you're in favor of, and is that something we really need?
Well, it's going to be hard not to be in favor of the tax question, and sharing of information with the IRS is something that all of us are very, very wary of here in Nevada. We'll have to look very, very carefully at the bill to make sure that our civil rights are protected there. I'm not against it outright, but it's just going to take a much closer examination.
Were you disappointed, or were you in favor of draining the rainy day fund instead of having the bridging taxes now?
I was, well, the rainy day fund's there for this very purpose, first of all. I think we have to
But you know what, excuse me, nothing has happened here yet. I mean, we're seeing the potential, but nothing has actually happened yet. Why did lawmakers not go ahead and protect the rainy day fund and raise the bridging taxes the governor says he's needed? And it's still going to take time for those to go into effect. If something does occur, now the rainy day fund is already gone.
Well, that's, I think, the very point, Sam. The purpose of the rainy day fund was for this area. So we need to move the rainy day fund forward into the gap so that we know it's there. That gives us a little bit more of a breathing room to come up with a stable tax base. The question, I guess, that we all look at as policymakers is we have a tendency to say, is this a short-term or a long-term haul? Taxes never seem to go away. And so are we going to do this just for the short term or the long term? So we need to do both.
Some of my cynical friends say that you just don't want to have to raise taxes twice in a session.
Well, your cynical friends could be correct. I think that it would have been nice to have done this early up and to have supported it. But in reality, I think the legislature, by its very nature, has to be long-term planners. That's what the people expect us to do, is to take the long view and not just the short reactionary kind of stuff. And that's difficult to do in these troubling times.
One last question. Today's the deadline for committee introductions of bills. You're probably going to have double floor sessions. Are there any interesting bills you can give us a heads up on coming out of Judiciary?
Well, we have, I think there's 11 potentials that are heading to us. The things on construction defect, the last bill on construction defect fell on Friday. So I think we may have maybe one interesting bill, but the rest of them are pretty mundane.
Okay, Bernie Anderson, we're out of time. We thank you so much for being here as always. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this time out.
CTX can help you negotiate your best deal. We've been your home team advantage for over a decade. Call us today because at CTX, local service still matters.
Yeah, with CTX, you're homeward bound.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. 7 award-winning dining choices. Experience the Atlantis Seafood Steakhouse tonight. Winner of Wine Spectator's Award of Excellence. The local choice for food and fun, Atlantis.
Atlantis.
At Sushi Club, everybody's family. That's what makes dining here so much fun. The sushi is consistently better, the atmosphere is great, and the service is wonderful.
Welcome to the bigger and better Sushi Club. Come in for our delicious daily specials.
When you're talking sushi, you're talking Sushi Club in the Independence Square Shopping Center.
Walk into the Cactus Creek Bar and Grill at the Bonanza Casino, and you know you're in for a very special evening. Enjoy the southwestern atmosphere of some of the best gourmet food in Reno. It starts right here with Chef Bruce Norman and his talented staff. From buffalo T-bone to martini scampi and peppercorn duck. There's fine wine, specialty margaritas, and our pastry chefs create award-winning desserts. The Cactus Creek in the Bonanza Casino, 1 mile north of the university, where locals come to play.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
Mike Hillerby is here so often that we may have to start paying him. He's with the governor's office. He's deputy chief of staff. And we want to ask him a lot of questions about how come the rainy day tax fund has been drained.
Great. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Thanks for being with us
You
today.
bet.
Let me start, though, with the Internal Revenue Service, if I might.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Your favorite subject.
Well,
I'd be disappointed.
I want to correct something that the governor's office did not put in sharing information with the IRS into state law. That it turns out that was already existing language, and it was painted to look like new language in,
right,
in
which
the
simply
bill.
copied everything from the 1991, and in that particular instance, that section of the law from the 1991 business license tax, the current called the BAT, often called the BAT tax. Language was copied in its entirety to move into the new section. So
why do we need to share information with the Internal Revenue Service?
You know, once the people's representatives in the legislature decide what our tax policy is going to be and implement that, the vast majority of Nevadans pay it because that's the process, that's the democratic process, it's the way that works, and the vast majority of us are happy to pay that. That's paying for schools and health care and the other kinds of needs, clearly, that people have said. For that very small percentage that decide they want to find a way around that, we need, I think, an enforcement mechanism. And the majority of us that are paying our taxes, I think, are pretty comfortable with that.
I want to tell you that I don't think most people are happy to pay their taxes. They pay their taxes, but happy may not be the word. Okay, the rainy day fund,
right.
$135 million, there's $1 million left. If something hits the fan in the next 2 weeks, what happens?
Well, the two things. The rainy day fund, we've simply taken it out of that fund, which is restricted. The legislature has made the determination to do that and make it available in the general fund. It is not gone. It's sitting in the general fund now in case we need that money. But it takes a legislative action to move it from a reserve fund that can't be touched by the governor without legislative approval. So that is designed, based on the information we have right now, to try to get us through this year. Problem it becomes, as you just mentioned, we don't know how bad things are going to get with our tourism because of the war and the unfortunate things that are going on. If it continues to get bad, if it gets much worse, we'll use more and more of that rainy day fund. Anything we don't use for this year to meet the budgeted needs can certainly go back in the rainy day fund. So that money didn't just disappear with that vote of the legislature.
Okay, but when the governor made his State of the State speech, he put out a lot of strong force towards the legislators to say, you got to get on board, you got to be bold, you got to be decisive. Senator Washoe said the same thing here. Vote your conscience, don't worry about re-election. Doesn't seem to be the way things are going.
Well, I would tend to agree to some extent. I think you've got some real concern on part of legislators. Nevada, you're right, a lot of us pay our taxes, we do our civic duty, not everybody's happy about that. There is a lot of very strong visceral reaction from Nevadans when you talk about taxes. And I think clearly the legislators are very worried. From everyone, but particularly in Nevada, we've got some very strong pioneering spirit here. And when you bring up certain things like property taxes and obviously income tax, which is off the table because of a constitutional amendment, people get very heated about that. So a lot of legislators are very worried about having to vote potentially twice, both for short-term fix for this year, if we need to do that, and then the long-term, hopefully very long-term fix of the tax system.
Realistically, if there was a problem, the legislature can turn a bill into an emergency measure and get it passed out in one day and over on the governor's desk, right?
Absolutely. The issue becomes, can you do that? They can process that piece of paper very quickly. Can you implement that? Can you in reality go out, change the tax rates, do whatever it is they decide to implement as the representatives? and get that money in time to make any difference. That's the problem. That's why the April 1st deadline was so crucial. At some point after that, we are at that spot where it's too difficult to raise the revenue and very difficult to make cuts that are anything but very damaging.
Assemblyman David Parks is going to be introducing a bill today that the governor is very much in favor of, a franchise tax on banking. Is that correct?
Yeah, the governor has said, you know, if we've invited everybody to the table as a part of the task force debate. A lot of people have stepped up. Those that don't, I think, are going to be at the table now with a bill like that. The banking industry has said they want to be here. That's a huge industry. They need to be up in those public hearings talking about their contributions to the state, talking about the money that they make, and what's fair. So I think this bill is certainly going to get them there.
With Speaker Perkins' terrorism bill, do you have concerns from the governor's office, and should I say, speaking on behalf of the governor, about the civil rights issues that might go along with this?
We always do, and I don't know that they're specific to that bill. You've always got to be concerned that at any point, and we've obviously dealt with that a tremendous amount in our country and our state since September 11th, 2001. Anything you do, you've really got to worry about long-term, are you eroding those basic civil rights that we enjoy as Americans, that we have to, that in difficult times you're tempted to take away, because there's always going to be that example of someone who probably richly deserves it, but we have to live with those decisions long-term. So we'll work with the Speaker on his bill and any of the others that come up to try to be sure that we've done that.
Okay, you are a brave man. You've decided to stick around and be on our pundit panel. You're going to take what you get. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this timeout.
Take a break and treat the family to breakfast, lunch, or dinner at Tamarack Junction. Enjoy pasta night on Wednesdays, Mexican on Thursdays, and seafood on Fridays. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amani Ranch Parkway.
When he was just a young boy, Ken Dillon laid back, looked up at the stars, and thought to himself, hey, this house could use a roof. Today, Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal offers a complete line of elk roofing products for any type of residential roof. With an elk roof from D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal, what's overhead stays overhead. Call Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal today for a free estimate. Yes, the technology sure has changed, but after all these years, Ken still enjoys playing with houses.
We've loosened our machines. We've given you the Gold Dust West Gold Rush Club, Reno's best slot club. You can win lots of jackpots. Play longer. Your points will add up faster than you think. Yeah, we're loose and we're not screwing around. See you at the Gold Dust West, south on Keystone, east on 4th.
Folks, you must see what's new in Virginia City. Ride the V&T train all the way to Gold Hill. Explore a mine, if you dare. Visit Piper's Opera House. Watch the gunslingers shoot it up on C Street. Shop in unique stores. Listen to honky tonk in the historic saloons. You can't see it all in one day, so spend the night. Virginia City, where the West comes alive. Come up and spend the night in our hotels, motels, and RV park.
At Tamarack Junction, you can take advantage of fabulous food around the clock. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, give the oven and yourself a rest. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amani Ranch Parkway.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And time for the pundit section. Just before that, though, I want to mention that if there is any breaking news here about the war, we will drop the program and go right to it for you. So stay tuned. We'll go to the pundit section here, and as promised, Mike Hillerby, despite my warning, has joined us, and he's with the governor's office. And Chris Wicker, a welcome return to you, sir. He was with us all through last season. He's the chairman of the Washoe County Democratic Party. And Greg Ferraro, president of R&R Partners. Pleasure to have you all here.
Nice to be here.
You want to take the first shot here?
Well, we can. Let's talk about war for a second, okay? Chris, you're a loyal Democrat. What do you think about the war and President Bush's decision to go after Saddam Hussein?
I think we're talking about two things. One, obviously the decision has been made that we're at war. Our troops are out in the field risking their lives. So I think there's no question that we have to support our troops and we have to hope for a successful and quick conclusion to the war. What distresses me is the attacks on people that are advocating peace and criticizing Bush's policy. And heaven knows there's a lot to criticize about his policies. but a lot of them are Republicans. And it's interesting to note that during the war in Kosovo, during the time our troops were in combat, many of the current Republican leaders criticized Clinton and criticized the policy. Trent Lott, George Bush, then Governor George Bush, Speaker Hastert, Tom DeLay, all those folks who are now saying it's unpatriotic to criticize the war were doing that same thing when our troops were risking their lives in Kosovo. So that's the wrong way to go. But we have to hope our troops have a successful and hopefully as few lives lost on both sides as we can hope for.
Greg?
I think I heard Chris say that he supports the president and his plan. You know, I don't know that I hear people criticize those that dissent. It's a free country, and certainly that's what we encourage in this nation. I think the progress that's been made so far, according to the news that we get, and we were talking about that a little bit earlier today. You know, I only know what I read or see, and it sounds like we're making progress.
Mike, can you tell us a little bit of how the war is affecting Nevada?
Sure. We've really only got beginning signs at this point. You saw the papers last week that talked about room rates going down in Las Vegas, advanced bookings going down, Singapore Airlines not going to fly here, United Airlines is cutting back. Big article 2 or 3 days ago about the number of airlines going to be laying off employees and shortening their schedules or limiting their schedules. That's going to have an impact. And the problem, the difficulty with the short-term taxes, the rainy day fund, the long-term plan with where we sit now, we're sitting in March needing to make some decisions about how we're going to end our year June 30th, how we're going to get through the next year. We don't know how much money we've made the last couple of months. We don't know what we're going to make between now and June 30th. We don't know how bad things are going to get in the tourism industry. So we're very concerned about that.
You know, one of the things that I have not been hearing from people on the street, and I run into a lot of people on the street, is their concerns about the raising of taxes issue and that a legislator might be raising his taxes twice during the session. Do you think that it's really as much an issue for the general public as it is for the folks who are down at the legislature and the lobbyists?
Well, I think there's two different schools of thought. When you're in the legislature, you're not necessarily concerned about today's reaction as you are about the reaction once you face the voters. So that's one school of thought. And then as the general public works through these issues and thinks about what impacts that they may represent and how a person may feel about a certain tax being raised or decreased, as the case may be. You know, I think they are willing to listen to the debate, willing to see how it's formed, and then make a judgment. I think polls have shown recently that the public understands there's a significant problem, that the public understands that taxes will probably go up. Do they like them? Of course not. But do they also understand that this state is growing faster than any other state in the nation? Of course they do. And along with prosperity comes responsibility. And I think most Nevada voters are in that position.
Well, you know, I tell you where the real problem in the legislature is, and that's the governor's own party with some of those nutty Republicans that are saying no taxes for any reason. And I'll tell you what, Representative Jim Gibbons should be ashamed of what he did at the legislature when he stood up there and said, no taxes, the governor's policy is flawed. I think the Republicans have to get their party in order to get some taxes that this state needs. And I think the governor needs to get his party online because I think the Democrats are ready to do what's right for the state.
Well, the problem with that is I think a lot of the Republicans are in line. You've got strong Republican leadership in both houses coming out saying we need to do something. But right now it's the Democrats that are saying we don't want to vote for taxes twiise. So we're going to have to get those two groups together.
Let me tell you, this is the partisan divide that exists. But let me tell you, I'm down there every day, and I see, to a person, every legislator working hard, trying to figure out the way to solve the state's problems. And I think by the time it's over, around June 3rd, we're going to have a tax package that most everyone will support.
But political consultants will take these votes and use it against them in campaigns. We saw that last time, and don't you think we'll see that again?
Well, I would recommend to the Democrats that they don't take this whole tax increase on their own backs. Enough Republicans have to go along with this tax increase, so it's not an issue in the next election.
Didn't I just say that I think by the end of this session there'll be a comprehensive tax plan that most everyone will support?
And that's the joys of needing 2/3. We're going to have Republicans on there, and at the end of the day, the history in Nevada and with our legislature is they're Nevadans at the end.
And didn't the governor wait until after his second election before he brought up raising taxes?
The governor's talked a lot about the problem we're in.
Yeah, the governor first had to go through the fiscal challenges associated with running government. He downsized, he made reductions in staff, and he had to set the table in order to get to this point in time.
But I don't think there's any joys attached to having to have two-thirds.
Okay, I want to change the subject just real briefly here. City of Sparks is looking for enabling legislation to raise their taxes by 2.5% to go towards Sparks redevelopment. At a time when the casino industry... room tax. At a time when the casino industry is saying, no, we don't want to raise our taxes more than the 0.25, I find this to be a very interesting number here. And especially when Sparks for so many years has said that they don't want to raise their room taxes above Reno's because it would make them less competitive.
Well, I think my understanding is the City of Sparks has recently unanimously agreed to raise their own tax to help recruit tourists to their community. That's
but that doesn't happen without the casino industry agreeing.
That's very different.
We've got about 10
that's
seconds.
very different than wanting to raise room taxes to fund general government through the general fund.
So it's okay if it helps us, but it's not okay
Well,
if it helps everybody.
I don't know that the City of Sparks is in the gaming industry. Last time I checked, they're their own elected municipality.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. We'll take a break. We'll come right back.
If you want to
If you're talking sushi, you're talking Sushi Club. Year after year voted the best place for sushi. 11 chefs on staff to serve you. Better ingredients for consistent high quality. And lots of room, so bring your friends. Sushi Club in the Independence Square Shopping Center.
Feel it, the magic is everywhere. The action, the style, the food, the flair. Play with us, stay with us in Reno, say El Dorado. And live the excitement. Shining star. Love the excitement.
CTX can help you negotiate your best deal. We've been your home team advantage for over a decade. Call us today because at CTX, local service still matters.
Yeah, with CTX, you're homeward bound.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, consistently voted Reno's best buffet by locals. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch.
Atlantis.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
Okay, we got 22 seconds.
All right, tomorrow we continue this fight with Harvey Whittemore, and Don Gibbons comes in and tells us what one mother herself went through during the last war.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow, guys.